The first thing I noticed was the smell. The house was full of warm, rich food smells, like butter and herbs and something sweet in the oven. But there was no turkey smell, no heavy roast smell, no crispy skin smell, just side dishes waiting for something that never arrived. I stood in the front hallway with a bottle of wine in one hand and a dessert box in the other, and I watched his mom move too fast between the kitchen and the dining room like she could fix the air by walking through it. The table was already set. The plates were out. The good napkins were folded. There were little name cards. Everything looked perfect, except the one thing that mattered most was missing. His mom stopped when she saw our hands. "Where was it?" she asked, and her voice sounded tight, like she had practiced being calm and could not hold it anymore. My boyfriend stepped forward before I could speak. He smiled too hard, like he did when he wanted everyone to stay happy. "Happy Thanksgiving, Mom. We brought the wine and that pie you wanted." His mom did not even look at the pie. Her eyes moved past us, like the turkey might be hiding behind the front door. "The turkey," she said. "Did you leave it in the car?" My boyfriend blinked. He looked down at our hands, then back at her. He gave a small laugh, confused. "What do you mean?" he said. "You always do the turkey." The kitchen went quiet in a way that felt wrong for a holiday. It was not silence like people were listening. It was silence like people were bracing. Then his older sister appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a towel. She looked past us too, then her face changed. Her eyes narrowed, like she had already decided who to blame. "Please tell me you are joking," she said. The younger sister leaned in behind her, smiling at first, then losing the smile when she saw there was nothing funny in our hands. His mom walked closer. The smile she wore for guests was gone. Her cheeks were already pink. She looked at my boyfriend, but she talked like she was talking to both of us. "I planned everything around it," she said. "The oven is open. Everyone is coming. We eat in 10 minutes. Where is the turkey?" My boyfriend turned to me, and I felt the shift. I felt the room decide, all at once, that this was my problem. His eyes asked the question he did not want to say out loud. "Did you know something I did not?" I felt heat climb up my neck. I set the dessert on the entry table very carefully. I did not want my hands shaking. I did not want them to see that. I said slowly, "I did not bring a turkey." His mom made a short sound, like she choked on air. His older sister stepped forward. Her husband hovered behind her, staring at the floor like he wanted to disappear. "What do you mean you did not bring it?" the older sister said. "We told you. Mom told you. Somebody told you. This is Thanksgiving." My boyfriend stared at me, now like I had pushed him into traffic. "Babe," he said, low and warning. "What are they talking about?" His mom's eyes fixed on my face. Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked away for half a second, like she was searching for a way to make this not real. Then she looked back at me with something sharp in her expression. "I asked you to bring it," she said. "You said you would." I could hear people in the living room laughing at the television. A football game. The sound was normal, and it made everything in the hallway feel worse, like we were the only ones who knew the floor was about to drop. I turned my head and saw the dining room again. The empty space in the center of the table looked like a missing tooth. My boyfriend's older sister crossed her arms. The younger one stood behind her, mouth half open, waiting to see which side to join. I looked at all of them, and I felt something settle inside me. A calm that did not feel kind. I did not raise my voice. I did not smile. I just said one sentence. I thought Janet was bringing the turkey. The air changed. His mom's face went blank for 1 second, like her brain stopped. Then her eyes widened, and her mouth twisted in a way that made her look offended and scared at the same time. The older sister's jaw dropped. Then she laughed once, sharp and loud, like a bark. It stopped fast. Her cheeks went red. The younger sister covered her mouth, but I still heard her make a small sound, like she wanted to laugh, and could not decide if it was safe. My boyfriend looked at me like I had slapped him. "What did you just say?" he whispered. His mom's voice rose, shaking. "Don't you do this right now," she said. "Not today, not in my house." The older sister stepped toward me again, and her husband finally looked up, eyes wide, still silent. The older sister pointed down the hallway, like she could point blame into shape. "You are not going to stand there and play dumb," she said. "You knew what you were doing." My boyfriend turned to his mom, then back to me, trapped in the middle with his face open and helpless. "Jenny," he said, louder now, "what is going on? Why are you saying that name?" His mom's eyes were wet now. I saw it in the shine. Her voice cracked and rose higher. "Get out," she said. "If you are going to disrespect me on Thanksgiving, you can get out right now." The living room laughter kept going, ignorant and cheerful, while the hallway filled with shouting and breath and the sound of my heartbeat. Someone started crying. I did not even know who at first. It might have been his mom. It might have been me. It might have been the holiday itself, dying in front of us. My boyfriend grabbed my arm, not hard, but tight enough to make his message clear. His face had turned red. "What did you do?" he said through his teeth. I stood there, holding nothing now, surrounded by a set table with no turkey, and a family that suddenly looked at me like I had set their house on fire. And I realized in that moment that they were all sure this was either a cruel prank or a direct attack. But which was it? Remember this moment, because it started years earlier with just one innocent mistake. When I met my boyfriend, he carried his past like a quiet weight he never set down. He told me early that he had been with his high school sweetheart for a long time. Years. The kind of relationship that got folded into family photos and traditions until it stopped being a person. and started being part of the house. He said they had broken up about a year before we started dating. He did not give me dramatic details. He said it had not worked, and they had both moved on. He said it like a line he repeated until it sounded true. I believed him because he looked relieved to be done talking about it. The first time he took me to a family gathering, I realized his family had not moved on. Not really. They did not say it outright. They did not need to. It was in the way they spoke about her, like she had only stepped out for a minute. It was in the way they said her name without thinking, like it belonged in every sentence. People asked me polite questions, but their eyes slid past me. I felt like a guest in someone else's celebration, like I had arrived late to a play where every role had already been cast. His mother was the center of it. She acted warm in the way a good host acted warm. She offered me a drink. She told me to sit wherever I wanted. She smiled and touched my arm like we were already close. But there was something strained behind it, like she was holding herself together with her own hands. At one point, she mentioned his ex in a soft, sad voice. She did not say it like gossip. She said it like grief. I miss her sometimes, she said, as if she forgot I was sitting right there. Then she smiled at me quickly, like she had not meant to let that slip, and she changed the subject. But it had already landed. It had already told me where I stood. After that, I kept seeing small signs that made my stomach tighten. There were pictures on the walls that did not include her anymore, but I could see the empty places where frames had been moved. There were stories that started with my boyfriend and ended with her, like she was always the punchline. There were traditions that sounded like they had been built around her hands, her cooking, her laugh. Even when she was not in the room, she was in the air. My boyfriend noticed my face sometimes, and he squeezed my hand under the table. His voice stayed calm. They will get used to us, he said. Just give it time. I tried. I did not want to be jealous of someone who was not even there. I did not want to be the new girlfriend who demanded that everyone erase the past. I told myself it was normal. They had known her for years. I had been around for months. I told myself that patience was the price of entering a close family. But patience started to feel like standing still, while something watched me from the corner. His mother kept bringing the ex up in ways that did not make sense. She mentioned recipes she missed. She mentioned inside jokes. She asked my boyfriend if he remembered a vacation, and then she looked at me like she expected me to nod along too. Sometimes she said she would have loved this, and then she caught herself and added, "You might too," in a rushed, guilty tone. I watched how my boyfriend reacted. He did not confront it. He did not correct her. He would smile and redirect, like steering a car away from a ditch without telling anyone the ditch was there. He wanted peace so badly that he kept feeding it, even when it bit him. I started to understand something uncomfortable. I was not just dating him. I was stepping into a story his family had already written. In that story, he had a first love. His mother had a future daughter-in-law. His sisters had a friend. The holidays had a familiar face, and I was a revision nobody asked for. The worst part was that it was never open cruelty. It was always small. It was always deniable. If I complained, I knew how it would sound. Like I was sensitive, like I was insecure, like I was trying to start drama. So I stayed quiet. I smiled. I helped clean up. I brought desserts. I learned their favorite drinks. I sat through conversations where I felt like an extra chair at the table. I told myself that if I showed up enough times, they would stop comparing. They would stop checking me against a memory. I was wrong, because after months of that careful politeness, after I had tried so hard to fit into the shape they wanted, his mother did something so simple that it changed the feeling of every room she walked into. Then the mother started calling me by the wrong name. It started at a dinner table with a simple smile. His mom looked right at me, handed me a plate, and said, "Here you go, Emily." That was not my name. That was his ex's name. For a second, I assumed I had misheard her. I waited for her to correct herself. She did not. She turned away like it was normal, like she had said the weather. My boyfriend's sisters stared at their phones. His dad kept eating. Nobody reacted. The room kept moving. I smiled because I did not know what else to do. I said, "Thank you, but my name is Jenny." His mom blinked, then laughed like I had made a cute joke. "Oh my God, I am sorry. I do not know why I did that." Habit, I guess. Habit, like I was a routine she could not break. Like the person she wanted was still sitting in my chair. I told myself it was an accident. I told myself it was the kind of slip people made when they had known someone for years. I did not want to start my first holiday season with a fight. I wanted to be easy. I wanted to be liked. Then it happened again. Not weeks later, not months later. The very next time I saw her, she did it again. Same voice, same casual tone, same wrong name. And this time, when I corrected her, she held my gaze for a beat too long before she laughed. "Oh, right," she said, "Jenny. Sorry, sorry." There was something in the way she said sorry. It did not feel like regret. It felt like she had just tried a door to see if it was locked. Over the next months, it became a pattern that made my skin crawl. Sometimes she did it in the kitchen when nobody else was listening. Sometimes she did it at the table when everyone could hear. Sometimes she did it when she wanted me to pass a dish, or help carry something, or agree with her. The wrong name always came right before a request. "Emily, can you grab the drinks?" "Emily, come see this picture." "Emily, you remember when we used to do this?" Each time I corrected her. Each time she laughed it off. Sometimes she acted embarrassed. Sometimes she acted confused, like I was the one making it awkward. Once, she even patted my hand and said, "You know what I mean, honey." I started to notice the small reactions around us. The older sister's mouth. By the time that first year ended, I stopped believing it was a mistake. My boyfriend finally noticed because it happened in front of him too many times in a row. One night, his mom had looked right at me, smiled, and called me his ex's name again, like she wanted to see if he would flinch. He did. He pulled her aside near the hallway, not fully private, but not at the table either. I heard his voice change. It sounded tight and embarrassed. "Mom, her name is Jenny," he said. "You have to stop doing that." His mom laughed like he had accused her of stealing something small. "Oh, please," she said. "It is just habit. I knew her for years. You know, I do not mean anything by it." I waited for the apology to me. It never came. She turned back to the room, smiling, and started talking about dessert. On the ride home, my boyfriend looked angry, but also tired. He kept one hand on the wheel and one hand in his lap, like he was holding himself still. "I am sorry," he said. "She will stop now." I told her. I wanted to believe him. I wanted this to be a turning point, the moment it got better. It did not get better. It just changed shape. The next time we saw his family, his mom did not call me by the ex's name. Instead, she called me Janet. "Janet, can you help me with the plates?" I blinked, because it was so close to my real name that it sounded like an accident. But it was also wrong in a new way. A safer wrong. A wrong that could be defended more easily. I corrected her. "It is Jenny." She smiled in a calm, pleasant way that made my stomach drop. "Oh, right, Jenny. Sorry." Then she did it again. "Janet, do you want coffee?" "Janet, can you pass the salt?" Each time, she said it like she was trying on the sound of it. Each time, she waited half a second longer than she needed to, like she wanted me to react. At first, I kept correcting her. I kept my voice light. I tried to make it easy for her to do the right thing. But correcting her started to feel like I was playing a game I did not agree to. And the more I corrected, the more she smiled, like I was giving her what she wanted. So I stopped. The first time, I did not respond to Janet. She looked straight at me from across the room and said it louder. "Janet." I stayed still. I kept my eyes on what I was doing, like I had not heard anything. Then she said, "Jenny," with a little laugh, like she had caught me being childish. It worked. I helped. I smiled. The moment passed, but I understood the rules then. If I reacted, I lost. If I corrected, I played. If I stayed silent, I forced her to admit she knew my real name. My boyfriend did what he always did. He corrected her sometimes. Not every time. He did it when it was obvious. He did it when he felt brave. Then he would drop it the moment she laughed. He wanted peace more than he wanted fairness. And every time he chose peace, his mom got a little bolder. A few weeks before Thanksgiving, the family invited us to a backyard barbecue at his older sister's house. The day felt normal on the surface. Sunlight, smoke from the grill, kids running through the yard, football on a small TV near the patio door. People talked loud over each other the way families did when they wanted everything to sound happy. At one point, I ended up in the kitchen with his mom, his older sister, and his younger sister. The room was crowded with bowls and trays. Someone had left a cutting board wet by the sink. The smell of onions and warm bread hung in the air. The older sister leaned against the counter and looked at me with a smile that did not reach her eyes. So she said, "My brother told me you could cook." I kept my voice calm. "Oh, he did." His mom stood by the stove, stirring something, listening without looking at me. The younger sister opened the fridge, then closed it, like she had no real reason to be there except to watch. The older sister nodded slowly. "He said you made that pasta dish he loved, the one he would not stop talking about." I felt the trap forming, even before I knew what it was. Compliments in that house never stayed compliments. His mom finally glanced over, just once, and her mouth tightened in a way she tried to hide. The older sister raised her voice slightly, like she wanted the living room to hear too. "Well," she said, "if Janet is such a great cook, maybe Janet should make the turkey this year." There was a beat of silence, and then both sisters giggled. Not loud laughter, small, sharp laughter, like they had shared a private joke. His mom did not stop them. She did not correct the name. She just kept stirring, pretending she was not part of it. I looked at the older sister. I looked at the younger one. I watched their faces, waiting for me to do what I always did: correct, smile, smooth it over. Instead, I nodded once. "That is a great idea," I said. Their giggles stopped for a second. His mom's spoon paused in the pot. Then the older sister's smile returned, wider this time, like she had won something. "Perfect," she said. "Great. We will count on you, Janet." I did not correct her. I did not argue. I did not ask for details. I just kept my face calm and helped in the kitchen like nothing had happened. And when my boyfriend came back inside a few minutes later, I said nothing. She agreed and told her boyfriend nothing. On the drive home from that barbecue, I sat in the passenger seat and listened to my boyfriend talk about normal things like traffic and work, and how his sister's dog kept begging for food. I answered when I needed to, but my mind stayed in that kitchen. Janet should make the turkey this year. They had said it loudly. They had laughed, and his mom had let it hang in the air like a rule. If I told my boyfriend, I knew what would happen. I pictured it clearly because I had watched him do it before. He would sigh. He would say they did not mean it like that, or they were just joking, or I will talk to them. Then he would talk to them in the soft voice he used when he tried to keep everyone calm. He would ask them to be nicer. His mom would laugh. His sisters would roll their eyes. Someone would say I was sensitive, and nothing would change. The name game had already proven that. For a year, I had corrected his mom when she called me his ex's name. I had tried to be polite, then firm. I had even let my boyfriend confront her. All it did was make her switch to a new wrong name that was easier to defend. It was like watching water find a crack and keep pushing until the crack became a door. So when his sister called me Janet in that kitchen and offered me the turkey like it was a trophy, I felt a hard, quiet clarity. If I corrected the name, they would laugh and call it a mistake. If I refused the turkey, they would call me difficult. If I told my boyfriend, he would smooth it over, and they would learn the same lesson they always learned. They could poke me, and he would put himself between us, and the only person who would pay for it was me. But if I stayed quiet, they would have to carry their own joke all the way to the table. They would have to look at the empty spot where the turkey should be and explain, out loud, why they had trusted Janet instead of Jenny. That was the argument I kept having in my head. Was it petty to let it happen? Yes. Was it unfair to my boyfriend? Maybe. But it also felt like the only way to make the truth visible, because the disrespect always lived in small moments. In a wrong name said with a smile, in a laugh that sounded innocent, in a comment that could be denied. I wanted something that could not be denied. I did not say any of this to my boyfriend that night. I watched him in the dark car window reflection as he drove. He looked calm. He looked hopeful. He looked like a man who believed love could fix a family just by waiting long enough. I felt my stomach twist because I still loved him. I did not want to hurt him. I did not want to embarrass him in front of people he grew up with. I did not want to be the reason his mother cried. But then I remembered her face when she called me Janet. The careful smile. The pause that meant she knew exactly what she was doing. I remembered the sisters giggling like they had a secret. And I remembered how alone I felt every time my name was taken from me. In the days leading up to Thanksgiving, nobody called me to confirm anything. Nobody texted about cooking times or what size turkey or when to arrive. His mom sent a group message about what side dishes people were bringing, and my name was not in it. Not Jenny, not Janet, just silence where I should have been. That silence made my choice feel even sharper. If they truly expected me to bring the turkey, they would have asked details. They would have checked. They would have planned around it. They did none of that. They let it sit in the air like a dare. So I let it sit too. I told myself I was not lying. I had been told directly that Janet should make the turkey, and Janet had agreed. I imagined Thanksgiving Day like a scene I could not stop replaying. His mom opening the oven and realizing it was empty. His sisters searching the counters. The moment they turned toward me, ready to blame me, and the moment I gave them back the name they had insisted on. Quick recap. Wrong name for years, a public turkey joke, and now silence. Every day that passed, I felt two emotions growing at the same time. Fear, because I knew it would explode, and relief because I was tired of swallowing it. Thanksgiving morning arrived, and the plan stayed the same. The car ride to his mom's house felt too quiet, even with the radio on. My boyfriend hummed along to a song I did not recognize. He looked relaxed, like Thanksgiving meant safety to him. Like no matter what happened in life, this day stayed the same. He drove with one hand on the wheel, the other tapping lightly against his leg, already thinking about food and family and not having to work. I held the dessert box on my lap like it was fragile glass. The wine bottle rested between my feet, wrapped in a towel so it would not roll. The back seat held nothing else. No foil pan, no roasting bag, no warm, heavy tray with a turkey inside. Every few minutes my mind tried to offer me an exit. Tell him now. I could have said it in the car, while we still had time to turn around. I could have watched his face change and listened to him scramble to fix it. I could have taken the blame privately, saved the public moment, protected him from embarrassment. But I also knew what he would do with the truth. He would try to patch the hole instead of admitting there was a hole. He would call his mom, apologize, and ask what she wanted. Then his mom would act confused and hurt, and his sisters would laugh, and the whole thing would twist until I was the problem again. So I stared out the window and counted the seconds between my breaths. As we got closer, the neighborhood turned into the kind of streets that always looked the same on holidays. Cars lined along curbs, lights in windows, even in daylight. People carrying covered dishes up walkways. I watched a man in a sweater hurry across a lawn with something steaming in a foil tray. I watched a kid run ahead to knock on a door like it was a game. My boyfriend pulled into his mom's driveway like he had done it 1,000 times. The house looked warm and busy. Through the front window, I saw moving shadows and flashes of color. I heard faint voices when he opened his door, and the sound made my stomach tighten because it was cheerful. He came around to my side and opened the passenger door for me, smiling like this was a date. "You ready?" he asked. I nodded, and I hated how normal I looked doing it. The air outside was cold enough to sting my nose. It smelled like leaves and chimney smoke, and something sweet, maybe cinnamon, coming from the house. When I stood up, the dessert box shifted, and I held it tighter, suddenly afraid I would drop it and give myself away. My boyfriend grabbed the wine, tucked it under his arm, and walked ahead like a man, bringing offerings to a king. He did not look back to check if I was carrying anything else. That was the problem. There was nothing else. We reached the front steps. Before we even knocked, the door opened. His mom stood there in an apron, hair done, face already shiny like she had been moving fast for hours. Behind her, the house glowed with yellow light. I heard the TV in the living room. I heard laughter and the clink of dishes. Her smile appeared on instinct, the host smile, wide and practiced. "There you are," she said. My boyfriend leaned in and hugged her. She hugged him back tight, like she wanted to squeeze out any distance between them. Then she turned to me. For a moment, her eyes softened, and I saw the version of her that wanted to look kind. She reached out and touched my shoulder with flour on her fingers. "Hi," she said, and then paused like she was choosing her words carefully. "Happy Thanksgiving." "Happy Thanksgiving," I said back. My boyfriend stepped inside and started calling out greetings, already absorbed by the noise and the warmth. People answered from other rooms. Someone shouted his name like he was still a kid coming home. His mom held the door open wider, letting us in. The heat hit my face, and the smell of side dishes wrapped around me. Butter, garlic, sugar, but still no turkey smell. The center of the meal was missing, and my body noticed it before anyone spoke. I stepped over the threshold. I could see the dining room through the hallway. The table looked set and ready. Extra chairs pulled close, serving spoons laid out like tools. An empty space in the middle where something big should have been. His mom's eyes dropped to my hands. Dessert. My hands held dessert. Her eyes flicked to my boyfriend's arm. Wine. His arm held wine. Then her gaze moved past us, scanning the entryway like the turkey might be right behind our legs. Her smile did not fall all at once. It tightened first. Her eyebrows pulled together. The air around her changed, almost silent, like the house held its breath with her. The mother looked at our hands and realized what was missing. His mom's eyes stayed fixed on the space beside my dessert box, like the turkey might appear if she stared hard enough. Then she looked up at me, and her voice dropped low, sharp with panic that tried to sound polite. "Where is it?" she asked. My boyfriend turned back from the hallway, still smiling from greetings, and paused when he saw her face. He looked between us like he had missed a line in a conversation. "Where is what?" he said. His mom did not answer him. She kept staring at me. I felt the heat of the house, the closeness of the entryway, the way the air suddenly felt too thick to breathe. "The turkey," she said. "The turkey you were bringing." The word "you" landed on me like a hand on my chest. In the living room, someone must have noticed the change because the laughing faded. Footsteps moved closer. A voice called out, "What is going on?" My boyfriend frowned. He looked at the wine in his hand, then at my dessert. "Wait," he said. "What do you mean Jenny was bringing the turkey?" His mom lifted her hands in a helpless gesture, flour still on her fingers, like she could not believe she had to explain this. She looked past me into the driveway again, as if someone might be carrying it up the steps late. "We all agreed," she said. "I told everyone. I thought it was covered." The older sister appeared in the hallway first, drawn in by the tension like it was a smell. She leaned into the entryway with a confused smile that faded when she saw there was no tray. "What is covered?" she asked. His mom answered without looking away from me. "The turkey," she said. "Jenny was supposed to bring the turkey." The younger sister came up behind the older one, peeking around her shoulder. The older sister's husband hovered farther back, already looking like he wanted to disappear into a wall. My boyfriend's face tightened. I saw the embarrassment hit him before the anger, like a wave. He looked at me now, really looked at me, searching my face for an explanation that would make sense. "Jenny," he said quietly, "what is she talking about?" I kept my voice calm because my body felt too steady, like something had already decided this for me. I did not raise my voice. I did not smile. I just said the sentence I had been holding for weeks. I thought Janet was bringing the turkey. The entryway went silent in a way that did not feel peaceful. It felt like the second after a glass shattered, when nobody moved yet. His mom blinked. The older sister's eyes widened for half a second, then narrowed. The younger sister's mouth opened like she was about to laugh. Then she did not. My boyfriend stared at me like he did not understand the words, like I had spoken in another language. His mom recovered first. Her cheeks flushed red fast, climbing up her neck. "Janet," she repeated, voice rising. "What are you talking about?" I shifted the dessert box in my hands, still calm. "You have been calling me Janet," I said. "Your daughter called me Janet at the barbecue, and she said Janet should make the turkey. So I assumed Janet was the one bringing it." For a heartbeat, nobody spoke. Then everything exploded at once. "That is not what I meant," the older sister snapped, stepping forward. Her voice filled the small space, loud and bright. "You know exactly what I meant." His mom turned on her daughter for a split second, eyes wide, like she needed someone else to blame. Then she swung back to me. "You are doing this on purpose," she said. "On Thanksgiving, you are trying to embarrass us." The younger sister let out a short sound that might have been a laugh, then covered it with her hand when she saw her mother's face. Her eyes darted to my boyfriend, like she wanted to see what side he would choose. My boyfriend's face changed again, confusion hardening into something darker. "Why did you not tell me?" he said. His voice was not loud yet, but it was tight. "Jenny, why did you not say anything to me?" I looked at him, and for a moment I almost broke. Because his eyes were not cruel. They were hurt. He looked like a man walking into a room and realizing the floor had been cut out under him. "Because it never stopped," I said. "I corrected it for a year. You corrected it. And it never stopped. So I stopped fixing it for them." His mom made a sharp sound, half gasp, half sob, like I had slapped her. Her eyes glistened. She looked around at her family, pulling them in with her expression. "Do you hear her?" she said. "Listen to how she talks to me in my own home." The older sister jumped in, feeding off it. "This is disgusting," she said. "This is childish. We have people coming. The food is almost ready. And you did not bring the main dish because of a name." I did not answer her. I kept my eyes on his mom. "You knew my name," I said. "You just did not want to use it." The older sister's husband shifted his weight and looked down at his shoes. He still did not speak. My boyfriend finally raised his voice, not at his mom, but at me. "You let them think you were doing it," he said. "You let my mom plan around it. You did this to make a point." I felt something cold settle in my chest. There it was. Not anger first, not defense. Shame. His shame pouring into anger. His mom seized that moment like a rope. "Enough," she said. "Enough, get out." My boyfriend looked at her, shocked, like he expected her to calm down. "Mom, wait," he started. "Get out," she repeated, louder now. Her voice cracked. "I am not doing this today. I am not letting her ruin my holiday." The older sister nodded hard, almost satisfied. "Yeah," she said, "leave." The younger sister stood behind them, eyes wide, saying nothing, letting it happen. My boyfriend stared at me one last time, like he was waiting for me to fix it, to apologize, to carry the shame back into myself and make everything smooth again. I did not. He grabbed the wine bottle from the floor with a rough motion, not caring about the towel, and walked past me toward the door. I followed, still holding the dessert like proof of how normal I had tried to be. His mom did not hug him goodbye. She did not look at me at all. She stared at the open doorway like she could push us out with her eyes. We stepped into the cold air, and the warmth of the house vanished behind us. The door slammed, and the sound echoed in the quiet driveway. And when the door closed behind us, the real fallout began. The cold hit me like punishment the second we stepped off the porch. The driveway felt wider than it should have, and the house behind us stayed bright and loud, like nothing important had happened inside it. My boyfriend walked fast to the car. He did not look at me. He did not ask if I was okay. He moved like I was not there, like I was just another object he needed to get away from. I followed with the dessert box still in my hands. That made it worse. It made me feel ridiculous, like I had been thrown out of a place I was never allowed to belong. And I was still carrying my polite little gift. He yanked his door open and threw the wine into the back seat. The bottle hit the floor with a dull thud. Then he sat down hard and slammed his door. The sound echoed in the quiet street. I got into my side and set the dessert carefully on my lap again, because my hands would not stop shaking. He started the car without speaking and backed out of the driveway too fast. For the first minute, the only sound was the heater fan and the tires on the road. Then he finally spoke, and his voice sounded like he had been holding it back with his teeth. "What did you think would happen?" he asked. I stared at the windshield. The neighborhood lights blurred a little because my eyes burned. "I thought they would stop calling me the wrong name," I said. He let out a short, angry laugh that was not funny. "That is what you thought would happen," he said. "Or you thought you would teach them a lesson by ruining Thanksgiving." I turned toward him. My chest felt tight, but my voice stayed steady. I did not ruin Thanksgiving, I said. They ruined it. They kept doing it. They kept pushing. They made it a joke. He gripped the steering wheel harder. My mom was crying, he said. Do you understand that she was crying because there was no turkey, and everyone was looking at her like she messed up? You made her look stupid. That word, stupid, landed like a slap, because it told me what mattered most to him in that moment. Not my name, not the way I had been treated for years, just how his family looked. I swallowed and tried to keep my voice calm. I corrected her for a year, I said. You corrected her. She did not stop. She switched to Janet. She let your sisters do it too. What was I supposed to do, keep begging her to call me Jenny? He shook his head, eyes on the road, jaw tight. You should have told me, he said. You should have told me in the car. You should have told me weeks ago. Anything. Instead, you set it up so it would blow up in front of everyone. I heard the accusation under his words, that I had planned it like a trap, that I had enjoyed it. I did not enjoy it. My stomach had been sick for days, but I also did not regret saying the sentence, because it was the first time their little game had consequences that were not paid by me alone. I looked down at the dessert box, at the neat ribbon and the label, and I felt a strange anger rise. Not loud anger, cold anger. They expected me to swallow it forever, I said. They expected me to smile while they erased me. He did not answer. We drove the rest of the way in silence. When we got home, he walked inside and went straight to the bedroom. I stood in the hallway holding the dessert like I did not know where to put it in my own apartment. I tried to talk to him. I tried once, then twice. Each time he did not respond. He did not yell. He did not argue. He just went quiet, like a door had closed and locked. That silence scared me more than the shouting at his mom's house. Shouting meant there was still a connection. Silence meant he was already leaving. I sat on the couch and stared at my phone, waiting for it to buzz with a message from him, or from his family, or from anyone. Nothing came. It felt like the whole day had been erased, except for the shame still sitting in my chest. The turkey was never the real issue. The respect was. And as the minutes passed, with no words from him, one thought kept repeating in my head, louder than the rest. If my name was not worth defending, what exactly was I doing in his life? So who crossed the line, her or them? I sat on the couch with my phone in my hand and my boyfriend's silence pressing on me like weight. He stayed in the bedroom and did not answer when I knocked. I kept replaying the moment in his mother's doorway, the way every face had turned toward me at once, and the way my one sentence had turned me into the villain. So I did the thing people did when they felt cornered and alone. I wrote it all out online, not to sound clever, but because I needed to know if I had gone too far. I kept the facts simple. Years of being called the wrong name. The barbecue kitchen moment. The turkey expectation. The sentence. The yelling. Getting kicked out. my boyfriend going quiet. Then I watched the replies stack up, and it felt like walking into a room full of strangers who all had a different version of my life in their heads. The first camp treated it like I had finally set a boundary. Their logic was blunt. They pointed at the long pattern and said the misnaming had been deliberate. They said nobody forgot a name for years, not after being corrected, not after being confronted. They said the mother and sisters had started the whole thing, and I had simply stopped protecting them from the consequences. A lot of them believed that some people only understood embarrassment because private requests had no cost. In their eyes, the missing turkey had been the first time the family had been forced to face what they were doing in public. The second camp agreed that the family had been wrong, but they focused on one detail that stung because it was true. They said I should have told my boyfriend. They said a couple needed a united front, especially with family. They argued that I had turned it into a trap for him too, even if I had not meant to. They saw him walking into that house as blind, carrying wine like everything was normal, and they said I had let him get hit by the shock with everyone else. In their view, my silence had not just punished his mother, it had also punished him. The third camp barely talked about the turkey at all. They talked about him. They said my boyfriend had failed me long before Thanksgiving. They pointed out that correcting his mother sometimes was not the same as protecting me. They said he had watched the name games happen and had chosen comfort over conflict again and again until the disrespect became normal. To them, the real red flag was not that he had been angry in the car. It was that he had stopped speaking to me afterward, like punishment. They called it misplaced loyalty. They made it sound like the family did not just disrespect me. They trained him to accept it. The fourth camp came down hard on me. They did not care about the history. They cared about the timing. They said I had ruined the holiday for everyone, including people who did not create the problem. They said guests showed up hungry expecting a meal, and the turkey was not some small detail. In that camp's eyes, I had made a private issue into a public disaster. They believed it looked like revenge, even if I called it a boundary. They said there was a difference between standing up for yourself and choosing the most explosive moment possible. They argued that if I wanted to be treated with respect, I should have handled it directly, not by letting a whole event collapse. The fifth camp sounded like they had seen families like his before. They zoomed in on the barbecue giggling and the way it had happened in a kitchen with an audience. They said it had looked coordinated, like a test, and the giggling had given away the intent. They called the habit excuse weak after years, especially after my boyfriend had confronted his mom. They believed the family had wanted to shame me publicly, to make me either obey or react, and either option would paint me as the problem. They said the turkey comment had not been a mistake. It had been bait. To them, my response had not started the fire. It had just stopped me from being the only one getting burned. The sixth camp did not argue about right or wrong as much as they argued about what came next. Some people pushed for breaking up, and they did it with a cold certainty that made my stomach drop. They said if my boyfriend chose family comfort over my dignity now, it would get worse with bigger milestones. Moving in, engagement, weddings, kids. They said I should leave before I became trapped in a life where my name was still negotiable. But others in that same camp talked about fixing it with conditions. They said apologies had to come from the mother and sisters, not vague excuses, not jokes, not you know how she is. They said there had to be clear boundaries, spoken out loud, and consequences that my boyfriend agreed to support. They suggested that if he truly wanted a future with me, he had to be willing to make things uncomfortable for his family, not for me. They framed it as a test, not of love, but of priorities. As I kept reading, I noticed how each camp did math with the same facts and got a different answer. Some people counted years of disrespect as the biggest number. Some counted one ruined day as the biggest number. Some counted my silence as betrayal. Some counted his silence as abandonment. I tried to be honest with myself while I read. I knew I had chosen the public moment. I knew I had not warned him. I knew part of me had wanted the truth to land where it could not be ignored. I also knew I had been tired of being polite in a place where politeness had been used against me. The comments did not give me peace. They gave me a map of the fight I was about to have, either with his family, or with him, or with myself. Fairness and communication kept circling each other like two animals in a cage. I wanted respect, but I had chosen a method that created damage. I wanted a boundary, but I had turned it into a lesson. I could justify why I did it and still accept that it might have changed how my boyfriend saw me. When I finally put my phone down, the apartment was still quiet. The bedroom door was still closed, and I understood that even if strangers thought I had been right, that did not automatically save what I had at home. Even if the family deserved it, can the relationship survive the way it happened? That night stretched out like it had no end. My boyfriend stayed behind the closed bedroom door. He did not come out to eat. He did not ask where I was sleeping. He did not even send a text from the other room. It felt like I had been erased from my own apartment, the same way his family erased my name. I kept thinking I would feel guilt, the clean kind that told you what to fix. But what I felt was something messier. I felt tired. I felt angry. And under that, I felt a dull sadness that sat in my chest like a heavy stone, because I still believed I had not done something wrong. I did not scream at his mom. I did not insult anyone. I did not bring up his ex. I did not go in looking for a fight. I said one sentence that matched the role they had forced on me. If they wanted to call me Janet, then they could deal with the reality of Janet. At the same time, I could not pretend I had not chosen the moment. I had known the missing turkey would hit like a bomb. I had known it would embarrass people. I had let that happen because private correction had been ignored for years. That was the truth I could not escape. I had stopped protecting their comfort, and I had stopped protecting my boyfriend's comfort too. Now I sat there and wondered what respect actually cost. If I apologized, what would I be apologizing for? Would it be for the chaos or for refusing to be quietly disrespected? If I said I was sorry just to make peace, would that teach them that they could keep doing it, as long as they did it with a smile? And if I did not apologize, would that mean the relationship ended right here, not with a dramatic breakup, but with a door closed and silence on the other side? I kept going back to the same questions, turning them around like a piece of glass in my hand. What did I need from him for this to be worth saving? Not just in words, but in actions. Did I need him to admit he should have defended me harder earlier, before it reached a holiday meltdown? Did I need him to tell his mother clearly that my name was not optional? Did I need him to stop asking me to be the flexible one, the quiet one, the one who took the hit so everyone else could keep smiling? And what did I need from his family? If I ever walked into that house again, a real apology would have to include the truth. Not sorry you were upset, not it was just a joke, not you misunderstood. It would have to be, we did it on purpose and we stopped. It would have to include my name, spoken correctly, without a pause, without a smirk. But even if his mom apologized, could I believe it? Or would it just be another way to regain control? Another performance, so she could say I caused trouble, and she still offered grace. Then there was the future, hanging there like a shadow. If we stayed together, what would the next holiday look like? Would I spend every Christmas waiting for another small cut? Would I sit at tables where people tested me and laughed when I tried to keep my face calm? If we had bigger milestones, would I always be negotiating my place? Would I always be proving I belonged? And would my boyfriend always ask me to swallow my pride so his family could stay comfortable? I hated that this all came down to one basic thing: a name, the smallest piece of respect, the thing you used to show that a person was real to you. His silence made it clearer than any argument. When conflict came, he did not step toward me. He stepped away from me. He left me alone with the consequences, the same way he left me alone with the wrong names, again and again, until I snapped the pattern in the only way I knew would be seen. 3 years of small cuts led to one big explosion. I did not know if we were already over. I did not know if he would wake up in the morning ready to talk, or ready to pack a bag, or ready to demand an apology from me, like I was the only problem in the room. I only knew I could not go back to being Janet just to keep the peace. So I wanted to ask you, honestly, if you were in this relationship, what would you need to hear to stay? Comment your verdict and tell me what boundary you would set if a family kept taking your name away.